spell it?
Like accordance, like concordance, but with an A and a C.
Oh, okay.
Right. So guys, let's start because in a few minutes the sirens will.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. It's all right. It's in 5 minutes. One of the things about Memorial Day in Israel, and it's always like a discussion. Should Memorial Day, Yom HaZikaron, be right next to Yom HaAtzmaut? Because especially for people who lost their dearest, this transition from Yom HaZikaron, which is a very emotional day, you know, a day in which we go on unusual circumstances. We go and visit the military cemeteries. All of the bereaved families go and you know visit their loved ones, their fallen children, brothers, husbands, family members, friends. It's not like, if to make it a comparison, it is nothing like Memorial Day in America, which is a weekend where most people get another day off to go to the shopping mall. For most people, I'm not saying some people do visit cemeteries and so forth, but in Israel, it's a day of collective, very collective sadness and very collective sense of bereavement, because everybody knows someone because of the draft and because of the mandatory service. We all serve, and it's a small country, and everybody knows someone, a friend, a relative. So it's a kind of a general day of, with a strong sense of bereavement and to an extent even sadness, and the transition from the day of Memorial Day to the Independence Day is one that is very, very sharp and has a contrasting emotional polars. Even many of the bereaved families of the soldiers that have fallen have very hard time making that transition, and it's almost annually that we have these discussions. But it should be said that setting the day of Memorial Day just the day before the Independence Day, is reminding everybody and reminding us every year that, you know, we have to bear in mind that those fallen brethren and sisters that have given their lives literally for sustaining the state of Israel as an independent state is the only thing that stands between us and other reality, a reality that pre-existed the state of Israel, a reality of which we've spoken last week. And we have 2 minutes before the sirens are going to go off. So in the meantime, I want to share a poem that was written by one of the most popular modern Israeli poets. And it's a short poem. Everybody talks about this poem every year. And it's quite recent. It's from recent years, maybe 10 years. And it reads, you can read it on screen. שני ימי זיכרון סמוכים כל שנה לטובת החישוב הכללי, כמה עולה לנו עם מדינה וכמה עולה לנו בלי. Which translates as 2 Memorial Days are just a week apart every year. So we can remember what is the cost of having a country and what is the cost of not having a country. Obviously it rhymes and it meters as a good poem should, but the point is that it shows us the relationship between having and not having a state. Now, guys, soon enough the sirens are going to go off, and when they do, we will stand and we will honor the fallen and especially thinking of my brother, and I'm sure people here would be thinking of the people they knew, and that will be, and then we'll light a candle and we'll start talking about Yair a little bit. My father is here, but also others who have known him, other family members as well. So that's going to happen soon enough. So okay, so I don't know. Again, I'm in like the bomb sheltered room, so you couldn't hear the sirens going off too much, but I saw that we could hear it here, albeit faintly. The book of Proverbs says, "Ner Adonai nishmat Adam." The soul of a person is like the candle of the Lord. And so we will light a candle here. This is a kind of a candle that would stay for 24 hours. So it will remind us of the souls of those who sacrificed the most. And then my father will talk about Yair. So. אבא, אתה רוצה לקחת את זה מפה?
Okay, thank you very much for taking part in this occasion. It's very strange to me as well, because I'm used to such occasions with the Zoom. We met recently when we had Yom HaShoah, and some of you, you got familiar with some of our parents and grandparents. Tonight we're going to talk about our eldest son, Yair, who got killed in action about 25 years ago in Lebanon. And what we see right now, what we saw before, his coffin being brought into the, oh, okay, this is the funeral. You can see soldiers wearing the brown berets of the Golani Brigade and carrying the casket and taking it into the grave. Maybe Nettie has a picture of the street in front of our house where the funeral left from. You can see how many people, neighbors and friends, took part. This is the street in front of our house or home. You can see plenty people, many people came and they had time to get ready for it because Yair fell in the morning just before the last holiday of the Sukkot celebration. So people, the information we had to do that happened on a Sunday morning, and the holiday was on Monday. So we had to postpone the funeral to Tuesday. So many people heard about it and came. So you can see that there are many people in the street. And the same was at the cemetery. And that was a beginning of an era for us that we now will commemorate 26 years for it to happen. We can go now back to Yair childhood and his growth as a firstborn in our family. That's his Brit Milah, or circumcision. And there is a very interesting story about it. My late father-in-law, he was the father to 3 daughters. You can see him. And my wife, Linda, and Yair. He had 3 daughters. And his brothers and the sisters, they also had only daughters. So when my wife was pregnant, so he said, oh, I'm sure there will be also another daughter. So somebody in his synagogue said, listen, if it's a boy, I'm coming from London to Israel to make the Brit, the circumcision. So, okay. I, as a young, proud father, didn't like it so much, but I had to give in, and that's what happened. You can go back to the circumcision and show the gentleman. You see, that's the Mohel, as we call it in Hebrew, the one who did the circumcision, and that's my late father. How do you say Sandak? Netiat,
I was unmuted. Godfather, basically, but
Godfather.
not the same.
Okay.
It's not exactly the same.
He was holding the boy when the name was given to him. Well, the name is also something of a story. You know, it's a sad occasion, but you know, it's interesting to hear. As I said, my in-laws on my father-in-law's side, they all had daughters and didn't have any boy. So they didn't have a name after their father, which was called Yehuda or Judah, Yehuda. And I got pressure from various parts in the family to name our firstborn Yehuda. I didn't like it so much, but in order to keep peace in the family, so we called him Yehuda Yair, because Yair, we liked it. And I, as a matter of fact, one of my great-grandfathers was also called Yair. I think we saw his tombstone in Slovakia, northern Slovakia. Anyway, so here we can see Yair on the top of my late father-in-law. This is in our house, and that's how it started to grow. Okay, this is, you can see, you read Hebrew, right? So you can see that this is the tombstone of, the name on it is Yair. This is the grandfather of my mother. And this is his tombstone in northern Slovakia. So that's how Yair got his name. Now we can go further and see his childhood, kindergarten, or with his brothers. Okay, that's a family gathering with my parents, and of course my wife and my sister. And that's my father, my late father, with the Yair, holding Yair. And we saw our sister, my sister there. And that is my wife's uncle, who unfortunately, they didn't have children at all. He is his wife. And we liked him very much. He was a very nice person, and he was also a scholar, Talmudic scholar, something exceptional. And he is enjoying holding Yair in his hands. And this is a jump. You can see Yair on the right-hand side, and our next child, Asher. This is, I think, in Atlanta, no? This is London.
London.
Okay, and they're playing out there in the garden of my late in-laws. Okay. Okay, another picture with Hagit, our third girl. And this is a picture.
יאקי פה, הוא יכול לספר.
Yaki, if you are here, you can talk. We came to, Yaki is, I pointed him, but I'm not sure you see with what, the guy with the mustache is a cousin of my wife, Linda, and that's his wife. And some of the children are his, and some of are ours. And they lived in near Hebron, in a village, when they were growing at that time, that place, sheep and things like that. Nowadays, they live in a place called Susia, also with an ancient synagogue that was discovered.
Yaki,
Yaki, please.
He was a favorite uncle of Yair. So yeah, Yaki, it's you in the picture. And now they can compare it to how you look at the video. Let's see.
Okay, everybody can see the difference now. It doesn't need any explanation. It's about close to 40 years ago, I think. Anyway, Yair was something very spiritual. He was a special person who in some means, I think, he wasn't meant for this world. This materialistic, somewhat narrow-minded world was too small for him. And he always seeked things more spiritual. And anybody that saw him praying, you know, some people pray and some people pray. Everybody prays, but his prayer was something really outstanding. One of the things that the most impressed me when I saw him was how he prayed. It was really unbelievable. In this picture, I think he's something like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, maybe even less. 5.
No, יש כבר 5 ילדים.
Yeah, okay, so it's something like...
Yaki, say something about how he worked in the field.
Yeah. He used to volunteer. At that time, we grew, we had a cut flower farm for export. It was organic, biologic. So we used to, every year, put a new mulch on the furrows. And that was work, which and that was exactly like meant for him. He used to come from the yeshiva, used to phone, can I come and work? I said, okay, come on, welcome. He used to work by himself. It was him and God and the field. That's it.
And you know, Yaki, you talked about his prayer. So I want to, you know, tell a story that moved me especially in regards to Yair praying. I remembered him exactly like you. You know, he used to start praying, and he was the last one in the synagogue. So he would get his own corner, and he would pray and pray as if it's just him and God, really, speaking with one another. Very, very emotional, very, the longest you can pray. However, what amazed me is the following story. One of the guys that served with him later on told us a story that, you know, was unbelievable for us, because he told us, listen, and I have to preface it a little bit with explaining how things work. So in the IDF, if you pray in the morning, then the other guys who are not religious, they oftentimes they do they tidy up of the barrack, you know, washing the things and organizing everything for it to be clean and ready to start the day. And the guys who go and pray, they go to the synagogue in the base and they pray the morning prayer, and only then they come back to help. So one of the other religious soldiers complained about my brother. He said, Yair, you cannot pray with him, because he said, finish up. We don't have time. You cannot pray too long. You cannot pray, take the time. We have to go back and help our friends to start the day. It's not, you're not praying on your own time. You're praying on your friend's time. So you have to cut it short. So they would complain that he's not letting them pray. So the sensitivity to the others, his devotion to God did not come on the expense of others. And that was a story that for us, as we knew only the part of Yair praying the longest in the synagogue, really, everybody knew that part. But we didn't know the other part. And the friends from the military, they told us that story. And that was especially emotional for us.
If I may add, it's not just starting the day, but there is an inspection by the commanders, and if you are not well prepared, then you get it. So it was
spoken like a true lieutenant colonel, right?
So, okay. So we did a jump to Yaki, and okay. What we see here is a colleague of mine when I served in the army. This guy was an officer with me, and we are friends till today. Yair and Asher, we went to climb on the Masada. I suppose you are familiar with the Masada mountain. Nowadays, maybe there is some lift or stairs or something that makes it easier to climb. But at that time, I suppose Yair was maybe 10 or something like that. That was quite a few years ago. And they went on, we left earlier in the morning with my friend. And here they are climbing the mountain Masada. And that's Yair's school, as I think first class or second class, something like that. Nice smile. And doing his, I don't know, work. Okay, we have here a picture with the brothers. And this is Purim. You know, they got dressed. I don't know, Yair like a judo player, a judo...
Ninja, whatever that is.
whatever, and Asher as a cowboy. It's not where we live now, but can? Okay.
לא, זה דובוז. כן, נכון, זה רק בלי הגינה.
טוב,
זה יסמין.
Okay. This is the present place where we live since 1980, which makes it 40 years, right. So this is the place where we live.
Oh,
Okay, here we have a picture with my parents, late parents, and Yair, Asher, and Chagiti as a baby, and me dressed in uniform, captain.
yeah. זה רגע, לא...
Okay, that's a football team, family football team.
Basketball.
זה football.
לא, הנה.
Sorry, basketball, sorry. I meant
It
basketball.
ended up being like a soccer team, indeed, almost. But yeah, at this picture, at that point of time.
Fight each other.
Okay, the basketball, the first five, Chagit, Teila, and the young one is Dudi, and the Yair and Asher you already know by now.
Oh,
Frankly speaking, I don't know where this picture has been taken, but I can see they are trying to climb into camels. Something are staying there, and they are trying to climb the fence. This is also a student. Yair is a student doing his homework. Here he offers me an ice cream.
was generous.
Generous.
טוב, נחפש משהו קצת יותר בזמן מתקדם יותר.
אולי הנחת תפילין.
הנחת תפילין עליי.
רגע.
יש. לא יודע, מוסר. Okay, that's my wife and the family at mid-growth about.
This is Nathaniel probably in the stroller, no? No?
כן, it's me.
Yeah, it's Dudi and it's Neti, right.
Yeah,
Neti, didn't you see yourself there?
I did see myself. I still look like that. Now, I didn't shave for 2 days now, so that's the difference. But other than that, it's the same. The weight is still the same. Yeah.
The face, maybe.
Okay, let's see. Some of the pictures you referred to might have been here.
יש לך משהו משנות המדרשייה או משהו?
צריך להיות לי, הנה, לונדון.
Okay, we can see here a visit to London with the family. נטי, רגע, לא, תחזור שנייה אני רוצה לספר על המדרשייה.
על המדרשייה, בוא נחפש משהו מתקופת המדרשייה.
לא משנה, אתה תחפש ואני אגיד.
טוב, זה
I just want to skip a bit. After elementary school, Yair went to midterm school in Kfar Saba, and they had they were going every day in a bus and coming back in the evening, had their supper there, and that was a midterm school for after the first 6 years in school, elementary school, 3-year school. That institute was called Mechina, איך אומרים? Preparation school.
Preparatory school.
Preparatory school for the Midrashia. The Midrashia is a very famous, and I think one of the first yeshiva high school institute in Israel that was established about 1945 and was very well known with the dormitory. People went there and spent 4 years or 3 years according to, because when the midterm school started, so the dormitory started only after in the 9th grade. However, you can see that that's Rav Yogel. Rabbi Yogel was the founder of the institute, and that's Yair. You can see him, and this is one of the rabbis in the school. However, at that time there was some, let's say, the kids weren't so disciplined, and we didn't like the idea of Yair going to a place where there is no discipline in school. So we asked him to go to another school. So we had an argument about it. So, and we came to the agreement that he will start in the other school. But if he behaves properly, we will try to move him back to the school he wanted, to the Midrashia. Okay. He behaved properly. Started September, and after the holidays, we said, okay, you are okay. We need now to persuade the management of the Midrashia that though you didn't come with all the guys at the time, that they should accept you. Okay. So we went, we were asked to come with Yair to the general manager of the Midrashia Institute. We came and we told him that Yair wanted all the time to come there, but we weren't happy about it. And he made his part in our agreement, and now we want to move him to the Midrashia, and that's okay with you. So he said, you know what? You go out, call him in, and we'll talk. Okay. We went out, Yair came in. They had a discussion. I don't know exactly what went on in this discussion, but the final fact was that, okay, Yair can join the Midrashia. And he was there for 3 years, and he succeeded, and his friends and all his rabbis from that period are still in touch with us to appreciating his personality. Okay. Okay, so after he graduated the high school yeshiva, Midrashia, Yair went to study in a yeshiva in Hebron, and he spent there 2 years. Before going into the army, he was supposed to enlist. He stayed there for 2 years, from 92 to 94. He was supposed to enlist in August 94, but for some reason, it was delayed, postponed to November. Okay, because there are enlistment in November. At that time, in August, November, all those high school graduates were enlisting usually in August, some of them in November, and some were joining also in February, and May there was also an enlistment. However, it was delayed, and Yair joined a new yeshiva in Ramat Gan. It was just established, and he joined that yeshiva, and he was very happy there. And the rabbi, Rav Shapira, the Rabbi Shapira, was also very happy with Yair, and Yair joined the army in November 94. And he joined the Golani Brigade. Golani Brigade at that time was an infantry brigade, usually not with, let's say, the society was more, not high class society. But Yair wanted to go there because he wanted to be with the people of the country. So he joined in November 94, and he wanted to go to the scouts of the brigade, but he wasn't good enough with his physical performance. So he got into the Warriors team of the communication company of the brigade. Their job was to protect the headquarters of the brigade when it moves in the battlefield or whenever, and they also had some training in communication as operators, communication operators. So he did the basic training and then advanced training. And we can see here, that's when they got the barretts. There is a ceremony that the families are asked to come. And instead of the standard beret, they get the brown beret of Golani, which is you can see on his head, the brown beret. Okay, here he's putting on some shoes. I think it's our family car. And you can see this is also there was a prayer in the place, and
חננאל, זה אבא שלך?
Sorry?
זה נראה לי כמו אבא של חננאל. חננאל, זה אבא שלך? יש מצב? לא משנה.
לא, זה לא אבא שלי.
לא, אני לא חושב. למה? לא היה לו מה לחפש שם.
לא, אבל...
It's not my father.
כזה, יהיה
אבל יש לו זקן צרפתי, וכיפה שחורה.
Yeah.
להיות
Quite
מצב
similar
שגרה
to
בפסח.
my father.
כן,
טוב,
חכה,
anyway,
עוד מעט אני שם את התמונה מסוג'ו.
רגע, אז בוא,
כן.
יאללה, תכניס את חננאל לפה לעניין.
רגע, הנה. So Hananel is here sitting with his back to us in this picture. Hananel, אתה רוצה לדבר קצת? או שאתה מתבייש?
No, it's okay. No, sure, no problem. First explain on the picture, and then I will say a couple of words.
Okay, what we see here is...
אבא, תן לחננל דבר.
אוקיי, סליחה, חשבתי שחננל. אוקיי, go ahead, please.
Just a minute. So give me a minute. I want to check something.
Okay, so let me present... okay, Hananel, you can present yourself.
No, it's okay. I want to double check something. I'm with you.
Okay.
So start talking about the picture, and then I will...
Okay, so this is a position in Lebanon called sujud. I think there is a mosque. You can see. I'm not sure. I'm just saying that this is a mosque,
it's
and
not
this is okay. You can go. You can start, Hananel.
In a minute.
In a minute.
שנייה, בינתיים אני אשים את סוג'וד. אבא, דבר.
לא, אתה לא שמת את התמונה של סוג'וד.
אני אשים, מה אתה דואג? אתה בינתיים תדבר.
Okay, anyway, the Warriors team of the communication company, which Hananel was the commander of it, and another company from Golani, from the support company of 51st Battalion of Golani, they took hold of this position, and they were doing patrols and other actions in Lebanon. Nettie, what's that? Location of Sujud?
Yeah.
נראה לי עדיף לשים את זה על ED50 ולא על
מה זה ED?
פוטו-פוטו.
שאנחנו לא על השתיקה.
Anyway, they took, the force was located in this place and doing whatever actions they were required to do in order to protect the area from terrorist activity at that time in 1995. And here you can see Yair holding the gun at the left side of the guys, right? And
the second from the left, yes.
The second from the left, holding the Browning 30 caliber.
Right. And Hananel is using the glasses to field glasses to monitor something. I don't know. He'll tell us soon.
So this is this place called Nebi Sujud. It was most probably the most dangerous place in South Lebanon at that time. And we took care of this place for a couple of weeks, and the soldiers, just for the fun, they want to do this picture. Those I told them... Yeah. Those I told them, you know, we should be always ready to, if someone attacks this place. So I was just go up there to see if someone come to attack us at that time. But I want to tell you, I was a young officer at that time, and Yair was really a unique soldier. He was amazing. He was quiet. he was doing whatever he told to do without argumenting. And for example, maybe a week or two before he were killed, I asked him to go and fill the tanks, the gas tank of our APC, our Nagmash, because we was on a mission. We went to go out on a mission, and it was Saturday. And it should take something like maybe 10 minutes to do it. You know, it takes it as the vesicle, you drive it, you fill it's a couple of hundred of liter, and it took him a couple of hours. So I was looking for him. What's going on? Where is he? And I realized that in order to reduce the Chilul Shabbat, he took a gas can, like 5-gallon gas can, and he went maybe 15 times to fill this small gas tank, put it in the vesicle, and come back just to prevent this Chilul Shabbat. Of course, if it was necessary, he will do everything. But if something was unnecessary, so he won't do it. Just a small story that I remember from Yair. And unfortunately, about a week later, we have an mission to go to do some patrol with we were 2 tanks and 8 infantry soldiers, and Yair wasn't part of this force, this task force. And 3 days later, they came to replace us and bring some food and water. And on the way to replace us, they were hit by a roadside bomb. And 6 of the 7 soldiers that were on this vesicle were killed in this event. So when we heard about it, so we were out of the tank, and I told the tank commander, just go there immediately, because I don't want that the Hezbollah will kidnap one of them. So I don't want to wait this minute or two till we go on the tank. So they ran to see that everything is nobody were kidding, and we just ran after them about 3 kilometers, and we got there, and we saw the terrible sit with this. Actually, at that time there were 5 soldiers were killed, and 2 were wounded, but one of them didn't survive this event. So.
חננאל, איפה הייתם? צפונית, דרומית, כאילו.
From this point?
Yeah. זה הצפנתי. טוב, לא קריטי.
So it's about it's very close. It's about 200 meters from this south. No, to the other side, down to this red mark. Yeah. So I unfortunately I couldn't go to the funeral because we were still in activity, and maybe 2 weeks later I came to visit the family, and it's really amazing family. They gave us strength to all of us, all the soldiers and all his friends. Yeah, unfortunately now I'm on Toronto now. I'm not in Israel currently, but I'm coming back to Israel in the summer. So I hope by that time I could come to visit you.
Would be our pleasure.
Yeah, for sure.
אבא, עוד משהו? או לפתוח את זה לשאלות, או יקי, או מישהו? ענת?
תן למישהו אחר לדבר.
מישהו רוצה לשתף? אוקיי, אז אני פותח את זה אשר? אשר? אני רואה שאתה פה. תן לנו קצת אנגלית
I'm here.
בריטית משובחת. אוקיי.
Yeah.
So,
אני גם רוצה לשתף באיזשהו שלב.
בסדר. אין בעיה, ענת.
אנגלית בריטית משובחת, הכל בסדר.
אשר, קדימה.
I apologize. I have to run. Dinner time for us here in London. Yeah, Yair was. Yair was. Is not in this picture. I think that's Nathan. I think.
לא, אני אמצא, אל תדאג.
It's him. So Yair was a dreamer. He had some naivety to him, and he had this great passion about other people, and we miss him till this day. Yeah, I can tell some more, maybe technical details on how we got the word. I don't know that they're important. Yeah, I do want to say something about life and the way they continue. One of my strong memories. I was 18 at the time, or possibly 19. I think 18. And our youngest brother Yinon, who's probably on the call too, was about 2 years old, or maybe 3. And I remember, I think it was the funeral, where he was pulling on my mother's dress and just demanding attention, as he had no idea, of course, of what's happening. I'll put the video on. It's the wrong one. Just a second. Can people see me?
And also correct, I wasn't at the funeral, but maybe it was.
Anyway, I remember him pulling on my mother's skirt and demanding attention. And I think in a way our big family is the thing that kept my parents going, and they couldn't just clear their mind to be depressed over Yair's going away. And as they say, the best ones go. So yeah, it was definitely in that category. And we miss him.
תודה. ענת?
I want to tell one thing as a cousin. I didn't grow up with a boss, but I do feel like a sister to them all. I don't have my own siblings, and all my cousins really took me in. And Yair functioned like an older brother. And whenever I wasn't sure about something, he was killed when I was in 9th grade, and I was pretty young, but I went through some rough times before that, had some rough family issues, and he would always sit and listen to me, even when he was 14 and I was 6, and I was probably speaking like in such a childish tone. He always took the time and patience for me, and I very much appreciated that. And I remember the day that he was killed, we were, Naftali sent an army representative to our house in Jerusalem to tell my mother so that there would be another adult there, and we packed up and drove down to be with the family. And my mother was driving. I was about 14 years old, and the whole time she was driving, in front of us there was an army vehicle with a closed tarp, and we drove probably about a third of the way, all the way from our house to Sha'ar Hagai, for the family members who know the terrain. And suddenly my mother looks up and says, "Where are we? Why is Yair's coffin's car in front of us?" But she has no recollection of driving the 20 minutes from Jerusalem to that point. And it was all such a big jumble, and that car being in front of us was very, very surreal. And as we were driving out of Jerusalem, like I mentioned, it was the day before a holiday, and another cousin, Shuli, was coming to Jerusalem for the holiday, and we just happened to see her on the street and pick her up in some sort of providential meeting that she should be coming back to the family with us, and I just remember it very, very vividly.
Od Mishu?
Nettie, if I can speak.
Sure, Ziva, go ahead.
Hi. So for all the Americans or all the English speakers who are listening all over the world, I think it's very important to emphasize that for every soldier that you have, that's listed, there's almost 24,000 soldiers that have been killed in Israel. Each one of them is a whole world. I'm also a cousin. And the trajectory of how each one of these losses changes people's lives is enormous. I'll just tell you in my own personal life, I had just moved with my family to Israel right before Yair was killed. Sorry. And I was a very angry teenager as a result of it. I was not happy. Sorry, my video is not on. I'm just putting my kids to sleep here in Israel now. I was not happy about it. I had been on a varsity basketball team. I was very involved in student activities. I'd had a great life. And I was certainly not excited as a teenager entering into 10th grade to have to be, usurped from all that and planted in this new country, new language, new culture. And we moved to Israel in August, and Yair was killed just about 2 months later, 3 months later. And it very much changed my whole perspective on things and ended up actually shifting my own trajectory that really led me to where I am today. First of all, Israelis can be sometimes, a little bit skeptical of Americans. And all these kids in my class were telling me, oh, you're a spoiled American, go back to America. And after the whole experience, the emotional experience and everything of going through Yair's loss, I no longer let them push me around. I said, you want to tell me that I haven't lived through anything or I'm not Israeli enough? I've seen it up close and personal. And it really gave me sort of the guts to engage in Israeli society. And I then decided that I was going to live here permanently, and I am. I have lived here permanently. I'm raising my family here, despite having all my family back in the States. And even more so, I was studying pre-med as an undergraduate. And I had always liked the city of Hebron, but I had never really spent too much time there. I'd volunteered there a little bit here and there. And then the Barak family actually they made a dedication in the yeshiva there, in the Jewish Center there for Learning. They made a dedication to Yair. And we went there for the ceremony, and I started talking to some people that I knew a little bit there. And they said, you know what, come for the Sabbath, come visit us, come hang out here a little bit. And I took them up on the offer, and I ended up going there. And they said, listen, you're Yair's cousin, anything you want, we'll do. And I ended up making more connections with the members of the community there. Long story short, I ended up volunteering there full time, which ended up changing my life in terms of a profession. I ended up instead going for a master's in public administration, working for the fund in the Hebron community, which led me into politics, which led me to my entire career today. So this is just a small example of how people are affected by each of these losses. But where I live, what I do as a profession, all changed essentially and shifted on the day that Yair was killed. And Israel is a society where there's thousands, tens of thousands of people like me who are cousins, friends, neighbors, comrades, brothers, sisters, obviously. Everybody knows somebody, and it very much affects the fabric of society here and shapes the collective consciousness of the country. So I am one of a million people that are just like me, that had a cousin who was killed, and everything changed afterward.
תודה. עוד מישהו?
אם לא יהיה לך מישהו, אז יש לי איזה שני דברים להגיד.
אבא, בוא, כן, בהחלט.
Okay. First of all, I just want to tell you how we got the message about what happened. It was, as I said, holiday evening, and I had to do something in the office. So I went to the office in the morning, and all of a sudden, Tehila, our daughter, I get a call from her. She says, Abba, some people are here from the military. So I sensed, okay, that's not good news. So I'm coming home. On the way, Asher was supposed to go for the holiday to a friend of his. And I called him and I told him, wait, I'll collect you from the bus stop where you are there. I went, I collected him. Then I called my wife, she was in the office at the time, seeing patients. I told her, we have to go back home because we got some bad news. I collected her from the office and we went home. And there we had the people that gave us the bad news about Yair. I just want to mention that I had a call today or yesterday, I don't remember exactly, from the company commander of the communication in Golani. It is 25 years later, somebody who never, I'm not sure he was born when Yair got killed, but they keep in touch with the family, which is a very, I don't know, it gives you a feeling of a home feeling. And every year there is a gathering of the parents of the families of the fallen soldiers from the communication company. And it's amazing the way that they keep in touch with us. That's one story. Another thing that I wanted to say was about
טוב, אבא, אולי נעשה שאלות ואז תיזכר.
Okay. Okay.
Nettie?
Oh, sure. Alicia,
yeah.
go ahead.
Right. So, I mean, first of all, I want to, so I'm Anat's husband, and I only got into the family many years after Yair passed. Yair was killed. But I did want to add one story that's like a very serendipitous one in the family. So you see this, my son over here on the couch, here behind me. His name is Aharon Yair. So his second name is named after Yair. And it's actually a fascinating story because, so we were preparing for his circumcision when Aaron was born. And we organized somebody to come and circumcise him. It was a person named Steve Jackson, who is also a neurosurgeon, and but he also moonlighted, so to speak, as a person who does circumcision. So we asked him to come, and he of course agreed, and it seemed to us to be a totally standard procedure. Bris was on Shabbos. So, basically the whole Shabbos, surrounded the bris, and we had Naftali, and Uncle Naftali was there to give the name as part of the ceremony. When he stepped down, so he said to us, "You know who you have as your mohel. You know who you have as the person circumcising your son, Aharon Yair, which we named after Yair." So we said, no, I mean, we just chose him, he happened to be a person who lived in Ra'anana, where we live. We chose him totally, just for practical reasons. So it turns out that Steve Jackson, when he was in the Army, was in Unit 669. Unit 669 is the unit that is basically a search and rescue. So what they do is they, whenever anybody is stuck in a difficult spot, their job is to go extract them and take them, to the hospital to be treated, to try and save their life. And it turns out that Steve Jackson was in the unit, was one of the people that came on that fateful day, and basically after Yair's fortifications were attacked, he was there. He was one of the people that extracted him from there and brought him, took him out of Lebanon. And so, this was amazing to us. That, the person we chose to circumcise our son, who's named after Yair, happened to be one of those people that was there to just try and save Yair's life. It was really, really amazing. And when we discovered this, we mentioned it to Steve Jackson, and Dr. Steve Jackson, and he later on he sent us this notice that said that all the money we had paid, the salary paid him for his service, he had donated it to some charity. I forget what charity it was. Yeah, but anyway, we thought it was so amazing, the way, I think connects to what the person before me was talking about, how we're all connected, and it's almost, impossible to not to find, these deeper connections between, the people that you meet, even randomly. Somehow you find this very strong connection between all the people. Thank you.
Anyone wants to share, or anyone wants to ask a question? Guys, don't be shy. I always tell my students, don't be shy. So here as well.
Hey, Ned, your dad was about to share something.
Yeah. So, Abba, נזכרת מה רצית להגיד?
עוד לא.
So, yeah. Any questions? Guys?
Does Golani mean anything to do with Golan, or is that a name of a person? It does?
Yeah, the brigades in the War of Independence, the brigades, some of them were named after parts of Israel. Yeah, so, yeah, Golani is one of them.
I would like to say something, Netanel.
Sure, Elizabeth, go ahead.
I don't actually know if I can. I just want to say thank you. This for me has been such an unbelievable sharing of your hearts and your love and your family and your love for your family. And I want to thank Abba for all that he's done for his family and for everything that you guys have shared with us tonight. It's just been such a blessing and so amazing. And I really just want to say thank you for it. That's all.
Thank you very much for expressing your feelings. I just want to say another thing. I remembered what I wanted to say. After such a thing happens, and we weren't the only family at the time, the Ministry of Defense has a service to take care of such families, and there are support groups that you can take part of in it. And they, with the other families that went through the same circumstances, and we took part in such a group, and what I felt is that thank God that we had another 9 kids to take care of, and we couldn't sink in the sorrow and self-pity that some people naturally go into it. And as we had our other kids to take care of, so we couldn't, give up. So we had to function. And thank God it was, under the situation, reasonable, as we can say.
Sherry, do you want to ask a question?
Another thing, if I may.
Sure.
About, as I told you about my personal experience with giving names to children. So in our family, as we had Elisha and Anat saying that they named their son Aaron Yair after Yair as well. So in our family also we have quite a few Yairs. We have by
Yaki and Sofit.
Yaki and Sofit. Also have Yair Nehemiah. And in our grandchildren, we also have several Yairs.
Tair, you've got all kinds of
all kinds of lights.
Yeah.
Noga.
Always lights.
Right.
So it's some call them Yair, no Chochmes, as we say, and some call it with a variety of the light, which is Yair or Or. So we have a constant memory of Yair with us. Thank you.
Right. Any other questions, guys? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I have just first question was like, how old was Yair when he passed? And the other thing is, I wanted to join the other comment on thanking your family, your entire family, for bringing us, and such an intimate part of your family. We feel so close to your family now. And I think if any one of us goes to Israel, it's going to have to knock at your door. We're family now. Thank you for sharing. That was very intimate, and we feel very welcomed by you guys.
And what was the question again?
How old was Yair when?
How old? Abba, he was 20-something, not yet 21.
In January 75, and he fell in October 95. So he was 20 plus, just before 21.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Sherry, I saw your hand was up. Do you want to ask a question? Sherry, your microphone, let me help you with the microphone. Yeah, go ahead, Sherry.
Okay. You mentioned lighting the candle for 24 hours as respect, I'm assuming. Would that be inappropriate for like myself to do that?
Not at all. Not at all. It's all right. You're more than welcome to do that. To remember Yair and all of the other people who gave their lives to keep Israel independent and to protect the people of Israel. So yeah, and I've mentioned it premised on Proverbs 20 verse 27, which makes that connection between the candle and the soul. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I didn't want to do anything rude.
It's all right. It's all right. Any other questions? So thank you everybody for coming and listening, and thank you everybody for coming and sharing. And no lecture tomorrow, as it is Independence Day. Wednesday, we'll continue with textual criticism of the Hebrew Bible with Professor Emmanuel Tov. And Thursday, we have Gil Bringer, Professor of Law at the Honor College, who will talk about the judiciary. And I will see you in 48 hours or 47.
Thank you very much. And
Thank
thank you for
Thank you.
sharing with us.
Thank you.
And enjoy the coming Independence Day.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
Shalom.
Bye-bye.